All right. Welcome to week 6 of the Upon Further Review, our wonderful show each week that we put on here at the Butler Eagle. We are sponsored by Colin Tarker, Troy Allen, Chevrolet, Buick GMC, Penn United Technologies, and Butler Health Systems. So, guys, I am flanked here by John Henrietto, a sports editor at the Butler Eagle here on my left, and Derek Pida, sports writer at the Butler Eagle on my right. So, guys, we had an interesting week last week, some interesting scores, some interesting outcomes. John, what's the first thing that pops out to you when you look back at last week's fun and excitement?
First thing I want to say is you're doing a fine job of taking my job. You're doing fine
the bar was really low. So.
Yeah, I know.
It was really hard to get over that bar.
Much to shoot over,
Yeah.
Well, when I look back at week, as you have week 4.5, whatever the heck it was, two scores jet out at me. The shocking, I think the score that shocked pretty much everybody, Derry's 27-0 win over previously undefeated North Catholic. North Catholic wasn't even challenged in a game until the week before when they had to rally to beat Central Valley. That game, I mean, you remember Freeport took during overtime. Freeport was actually beating Derry by 13 points late before Derry rallied, beat them in OT. So there's that game that stands out, and Kearney City, unfortunately for the Gremlins, losing another lead in the fourth quarter up at Brookville. They had a 28-20 edge, copped up 15 points in the fourth, and lost 35-28. Those are the two scores that really stand out for me.
Yeah, those are the same for myself. How about you, Derek? What kind of jumped out at you in week 4.5? As like
the Kearney City game, another game where they're up late and they can't close the deal. Kearney City's now 1-4. Is it the fact that the talent level isn't exactly where it has been in years past? Is it the fact that there was a coaching change in the offseason? Is it a combination of the two? I don't know. I haven't covered Kearney City yet this year, but I know one thing: 1-4 is not sitting well in Kearney City.
I think the thing with Kearney City is, they're 1-4, but they've had leads in the fourth quarter or tied in every game that they've played. So to me, it's just they're just not finishing for whatever reason. They're not finding a way to finish off games, to put teams away, to get a key score when they need it, to get a key first down when they need it, to keep the ball when they need it. John, what do you have to say?
The biggest difference I see in Kearney City, and I think it's actually started last year, is you guys remember Kearney City football teams in the great years, they played great defense. They rarely gave up points. I mean, hardly ever more than maybe 2 scores per game at the most. It started last year, and it's really carried over into this year. Their defense is giving up a lot of points this year, and I think that's the biggest difference.
The most concerning is they gave up to a sophomore quarterback 430-some yards.
That's only making
that's
his.
That's been a concerning part.
Yeah, that was at Robert Cathy for Brookville, only making his third varsity start. He throws for 446 and 3 touchdowns. That would never happen to a Kearney City defense. And like I said, it started last year. Last year's team gave up a number of points, and I think that's where the whole thing started.
Yeah, they didn't close very well last year. They had that playoff disaster where they gave up 60
They did, and that just never happened to Kearney City. It just doesn't.
One thing that also sticks out for me is Moniteau rallying to beat Bradford. Chance Nagy with a big 81-yard touchdown run for a nice home win. Puts them at 3-2, and a lot of optimism there in Cherry Township. Also, another thing that stuck out to me was Seneca Valley. Butler keeping it pretty close against Seneca Valley for a while. I said last week I thought they would play better, and they did. You were at that game. What was your impressions of?
Well, I'll tell you what. What kept that game close was the early rain, because it as it happened at a lot of venues in the county last week. Monsoon-like rain swept in early in the first quarter, and it rained hard and steady for a good 10 minutes of the first quarter of the Butler game with Seneca Valley. It was up at Butler, and the game was scoreless, and Butler was actually handling the weather better than Seneca Valley was. And Seneca Valley's coach, Ron Butch, admitted that after the game. He said, I'm glad it stopped raining, because they were handling this better than we were, and we couldn't run our offense in that kind of rain, and that suited Butler fine, because Butler wants to run the ball, and they were doing it. And but once the rain quit and Seneca found his offense, at that point it was game over.
Still, rain or not, I think it's a positive step forward for Butler.
It is.
All right, now we're going to one of our favorite segments, Birthday Boy John Henrietto's favorite segment that we do every week.
He's 29 and holding
29.
You got it.
It's what the 25th anniversary of your 28th birthday, something like that.
I can't do the math. Actually, I think it's past that, but that's okay.
All right. Anyway, it's our over/under segment where we pose to each other 3 over/under scenarios, and it's my turn to pick this week. I have 3 pretty good ones, I think. The first one I have is, believe it or not, even though he's played 1 fewer game than everybody else, Austin Romanchak of Freeport, quarterback at Freeport, is leading the scoring trophy race with 50 points at the midway point. So my first over/under is Austin Romanchak. Does he go over or under 100 points this season?
Wow, that's a good one. Are you throwing this to me first?
I'll throw it to you first.
All right. I'll tell you what, the schedule, Freeport's remaining schedule actually favors that a little bit because I think they've already played the bulk of their different called opponents. But over under 100, you say he's halfway there now. I'm going to say over. I'm going to say yes, over. He's going to pass 100 points.
Derek, what say you about Austin Romanchak's chance of getting century marking points?
I say over just because he can run. He actually catches the ball a few times too. He has a few receptions this year. He can score on defense. He plays special teams. He can score on returns. They are playing some weak teams. Now you can say, well, that means their second string will enter the game, in the second half. But the only way that's going to happen is if you already have a bunch of points to begin with. If you have 30 points, 35, 40 points in the second half, and how are you going to get there? He's going to be the main guy scoring, I would think, most of their touchdowns. Not all of them. Connor Sellinger's back. He's a big back.
Connor Sellinger's back.
But I think Romanchak, I think he's going to score most of Freeport's touchdowns down the stretch, and I say over.
See, I'm going to go just a hair under because I think Connor Sellinger is going to take some points away from him. They're going to have some other guys emerge. I don't know if they're going to score as many points as they did last week. Plus, it took him a 30-point week for him to get to 50 points.
You know what?
I don't know how many more weeks like that he's going to have.
Not just that, but if John Gaylock, Freeport's coach, has it his way, he'll go under because he wants to get a few passing touchdowns mixed in there too.
Yes, so I think he's going to go under. You guys think he's going to go over? Okay, over under number 2, Seth Winters, a kicker from Seneca Valley, because kickers are people too. Has 4 field goals. Yes, believe it or not, kickers are part of a team and they are people. Seth Winters of Seneca Valley has 4 field goals already this season through 5 games. He's got quite a leg. Very big weapon in high school football when you have a guy who can convert on field goals. Like I said, he has 4. Over under 8.5 for Seth Winters this season in the regular season. I'll stipulate that in the regular season. Does he go over 8? Does he get 9 or more, or 8 or
Under.
less?
It's going to go under, and the reason there's nothing against Seth Winters, but in high school football, even when you have a good kicker, they just don't try him often enough. Usually, when you're in field goal range, these coaches are too tempted to go for the first downs. They want the 6 points. I'm going to say under, but again, just because the attempts, in my view, the attempts aren't going to be there for him.
Derek, you cover Seneca Valley quite a bit. You know Seth Winters' pedigree as a kicker. What do you think?
Over under is 8.5.
8.5.
I go over.
Wow.
I go over.
All right.
How many do you think you'll end up?
Well, I'll take the easy way and say 9.
9. Okay, well, that's over. Technically, that's over. It's a half a field goal over, if there is such a thing. I'm also going over. I think he's going to get some opportunities to kick some field goals. And I think he's proven through the first half of the season that he's capable of converting some short field goals to mid-range field goals. And I think that gives him more opportunity, gives the coaches more confidence in him to go out and attempt a few. And I think they're going to be in some games where 3 points might be a big deal.
He basically has to average a field goal per game the rest of the way.
But once again, if Ron Butchley has it his way, he's going to go under because he wants touchdowns.
Well, yeah, every coach wants touchdowns, but sometimes you don't get that, especially in this.
Sometimes you don't. But
I think Seneca this week.
But with the Seneca Valley's offense, I think a lot of times they're going to be in 4th and short, and I just think he's going to go for it because he likes that offense. I like their offense too. I just don't think the opportunities are going to be there.
I'm going to make a bold prediction already about Seth Winters. I think he's going to have 2 field goals this week against NA.
Whoa!
Because points are going to be at a premium, I think, in that game this week. And if he has an opportunity to put points on the board, they're going to trot Seth Winters out there, especially against NA, to put some points on the board. And he's going to.
Well, obviously, we'll be making out those picks later. I'm sure, but Seneca Valley's going to need touchdowns if they're going to beat NA. They're not going to beat.
Well, they're going to need points.
They're not going to beat them on field goals. They're not going to beat.
If they have a chance to get points, they're going to get the points.
Tennessee scored 9 points yesterday and beat Jackson.
That's true. See, kickers.
We're talking the NFL. We're not talking the NFL here. We're talking high school football.
My third over under is in dedication to the birthday boy over here, John Arena. In case anyone saw in the newspaper, good old John rolled a 212 in his bowling way.
I did indeed.
212.
I did.
That's pretty impressive.
Led the league, actually.
Led the league, yeah. He was in the
For that
paper
week.
and everything.
For that week. Yeah.
He was in the paper without his byline on top.
That's right.
And the Marsh football team right now has 122 points. Does the Marsh football team score more than 212 points this season? Go, John, since it's on honor of you.
Okay, let's see. So you're talking 90 more points.
90 more points in 5 games.
5 games.
A little less than 20 a game.
Quick math. Yeah, I'm going to say yes, they will do that. Over.
How about you, Derek? Do you think they trump John's total bowling rates?
No, I don't think. They got some tough games against North Hills coming up, Kiski. I just don't see him getting the 90. So John's bowling total will trump what Mars scores this year.
I think Mars goes over. Not by much, but I think they go over. I think their offense is starting to find some rhythm. I think their young quarterback has shown flashes that he's very capable of completing passes and helping Garrett Ranke out in the running game. I think they go over. Okay.
I agree, but before you go, if Tyler Kowalski, that Marsh quarterback, if he continues to play like he played last week and gets a little more steadier with their pass game, their point total is really going to see an increase because that Marsh can run the ball.
But he has to be show more consistency.
No question.
We'll have to go.
Yep,
Let's
no
go ahead
question.
with that. All right, our first topic this week, I think it's a pretty good one. We're at the midway point of the high school football season, so it's a good time to kind of reflect on the first half of the season. There's a lot of candidates for this, but who do you guys think is the mid-season MVP of high school football in the area? Derek, I know you have a pretty good grasp on this question.
Do I?
And have a pretty good name to throw out there. Who do you got?
It's going to be unpopular right now just because they're coming off a big loss. But North Catholic last week got crushed by Derry. So, but you have to remember they're still a 4-1 football team right now, which is still a good record. 2 guys, Zach Rocco, 12 touchdowns, 2 picks this season. Really good ratio between touchdowns and interceptions. Nakai Hill Green, I know his biggest impact comes on defense, and that defense kind of takes a back seat, but he's a monster on defense. He also has 4 touchdown receptions on offense. So I'm splitting my pick.
Come on. Who's your guy? Who's your guy?
Okay, they're center. He's my guy. They're center. Zach Rocco and Nakai Hill Green.
So you have co-MVPs.
Co-MVPs. And the only reason Rocco doesn't have the impact on defense that Nakai Hill Green does. That's why.
Okay, John, who do you have as your mid-season MVP?
My mid-season MVP, I'm going north. I'm going Caleb Cameron of Slippery Rock. I mean, I like him in a running game. He's pounds the ball. He's the hardest Slippery Rock's ground game, and I love him on defense. I think he's an impact player on defense. I love him on both sides of the ball. Caleb Cameron's my guy. First half of the season.
My guy is a sneaky guy. Chance Nagy at Moniteau. He's sneaky because, just like Caleb Cameron, he's had an impact on defense. He already has a defensive touchdown this year. He's a hard-hitting safety, covers a lot of ground. He's a ball hawk. Plus, he is capable any time, any play, to make a big play on offense. He showed that last week with the 81-yard touchdown run. He's getting better as a passer. I think without Chance Nagy, they're not 3-2. They're not 3-2, and this is an MVP award at midseason. Another guy who I had in mind, but it's hard to give an MVP to when your team is 1-3. Austin Romanchek. I know you toyed with him.
Well, I did. I was just about to interject here that if I looked into my crystal ball and we asked the same question at the end of the season, my pick might end up being Austin Romanchek.
It might be my pick as well. All right, our second topic is Knoch has seemingly turned things around here these last 2 weeks with 2 big wins, including 56 absolute shellacking of Ambridge. Derek, we talked about this a little bit before the show. Do you think the Knights have what it takes to not only do well in this section, but to okay, a little
sorry about
distraction
that.
there.
Sorry about technical.
Silence your phone.
We are live here. We are live.
Silence your phone. Anyway, now that we're back on track, Derek, do you think Knoch has what it takes to make the playoffs out of the Northwest 8?
I think it's going to come down to one game, and I know Frank Whalen down at Knoch. he doesn't want his kids looking ahead. He's not looking ahead, but we have the liberty to do that. We have the freedom to do that. I'm looking ahead right now. October 12th, Knoch at Newcastle. And this is assuming everything else plays out. Like this week, Knoch plays Montour. You would think, Knoch's going to be able to take care of business there. If everything else plays out the way it looks like it should or would, Knoch at Newcastle, I think by the end of the season, we're going to be able to look back at that game and say, there's where the final spot in the playoff out of the section is going to come from. Whoever wins that game. Right now, Newcastle's not that good of a team. They're 1-2 overall. Knox 2-2. They're actually above them in the conference standings. But the weird thing about that game is it's the last conference game of the season for Knox, and that's not even mid-October yet. Knox's last 2 games are non-conference games against Trinity and Freeport. So Knox going to have a pretty good idea 2 weeks with 2 weeks left in the season what's going to be the playoff game.
As much as we say that we teams don't look ahead, Knox looking ahead. They know. If we know, they know. If we know that Newcastle game is going to be basically a playoff game, they know. John, what do you think? Do you think it really is going to come down to one game on their schedule?
I can
make the playoffs or not?
I can actually provide some inside information on this. I was at a social gathering this past weekend at one of the Knox assistant coaches was at this gathering, and we actually discussed this very topic, believe it or not. And
juicy stuff.
Yeah, it is, and it's going to come down to their game this Friday with Montour and the Newcastle game that you guys are talking about. Those are going to be the 2 games that are going to turn it for Knox either way. Yeah. I think they definitely have what it takes to get it done, and I'll tell you why, because of that triple option that they run. You guys remember Knox last year? Yeah. They got off to a horrible start. They got it together. The kids understood that offense, and you had Jay Carrot running the show at quarterback. You had Ivan Stapchuk at running back. Those 2 guys have graduated, so Knox kind of went into the same boat this year. Home to some new kids running that offense. Now that they've replaced those 2 guys, now you've got Chase Smaller quarterback, and Matt Goodwin is this year's Ivan Stapchuk. Yep. And I think it's making a difference. They're a different offense right now, and they definitely, when I look at their schedule the rest of the way, they definitely have what it takes to take that 4th spot.
Yeah, they definitely have a 2-headed monster there with
they do, just like they did last year. It just takes a while with that offense. It takes a while to get it going.
Do you see that too? Do you think Knox is going to get stronger as they go along, especially if they beat Newcastle
as long as
they the playoffs? Do you think they're a threat in the playoffs?
As long as they stay healthy. They were dealing with some injuries a few weeks ago, but as long as they stay healthy, yes, because that's a pretty unique offense to prepare for if you're an opposing defense, kind of like the wing T down at Mars. And if they stay healthy and they make the playoffs, absolutely, I see them as a threat.
Yeah, not too many teams run that triple option anymore.
Yeah, you know what? They're still
difficult.
Yeah, they're still dealing with those same injuries, but the difference is now they've had time to adjust to those injuries, and they've got a restructured lineup now. And I expect good things from the Knights going ahead.
Yeah, the Knights are definitely trending up, and if they get healthy, they could be a scary team. All right. We have some intriguing games on the docket this week. I always pick Butler first. We go with Norwin at Butler. Norwin's 2-3 overall, and Butler, of course, is 0-5. John, how do you see this one playing out Friday?
Well, until Butler finds its offense, you just can't go with them. I mean, their offense, they have yet to score a point on offense in a non-mercy clock situation. That's hard to say that, but it's a fact. Until they straighten up things there, and this year this week they're going up against the Norwin quarterback in Jack Salopek, who's been offered by Pitt. The kid's dynamite. I saw him play last year. He threw for 1,800 yards last year. He's got close to 900 yards so far this year. Norwin wins this game going away. I think Butler does find a little bit of offense, but I'm going to say Norwin wins 35-14.
Hey, Derek, do you think Butler has what it takes to kind of keep this one maybe a little bit close against Norwin?
I'd like to say yeah, but until, like John said, they haven't scored a point in the non-mercy real clock yet. 42-13, I think Norwin wins this one pretty easily.
Yeah, it's another tough week for Butler. Not only have they struggled on really both sides of the ball, but injuries have just mounted for this team. Just unbelievable.
They lost a kicker last week.
They lost a kicker in practice. How do you lose a kicker in practice? I know. That's just the way things have been going for Butler, not just this year, but for years. They just are snake bit. They just cannot get a break. And again, you're going up against a really good Norwin team, even though it's at home. I think, again, Butler's going to gut out, play as well as they can, but ultimately Norwin's just going to be too good. Norwin's going to win. I'm going to say 38-7. All right, this is a big game. Really big game on the docket this week. Seneca Valley at North Allegheny. Two of the top teams, arguably, in the section, that Wild 9-team section. Derek, you cover Seneca Valley quite a bit. You talk to Coach Butchley every week. What does he say about this, or what do you think he's going to say about this? And what do you think is going to transpire on Friday night at North Allegheny?
He knows I guarantee he knows the challenges ahead of him. This is Butchley's second stint at Seneca Valley. He knows what the NA Seneca Valley matchup's all about. Ben Mayenza has rushed for over 600 yards for North Allegheny. He's obviously going to be a focal point for that Seneca Valley defense. I don't see this game being lopsided either way. I think it's going to be nip and tuck. But what the deciding factor for me is Seneca Valley has not won down in Wexford since 2002. They've dropped 7 straight down there. I think it's going to be a close game. I think Seth Winters gets a field goal. But Seneca Valley loses 21-17 in a really good football game.
John, what do you think about this big matchup?
This is one of North Allegheny's stronger teams in recent years. No one has come within 24 points of this team yet. They rolled them out 11-team last week, 34-3. That Seneca had to battle with for a 17-14 win. And Seneca's got a good team. They're going to the playoffs. NA's got too much though, 35-21.
Yeah, Seneca has a very good team, but NA I think it's just a notch ahead of them. I think NA wins this game, but I agree with Derek. It's going to be a close game. Seth Winters is going to have 2 field goals in this game, as I said previously, but it's not going to be enough as NA is going to win 24-13.
No field goals. They need touchdowns. No field goals.
Well, there you go. You're going to have 2 field goals instead of touchdowns.
That's why I said 35-21. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. All right, our next game, it was the aforementioned Knoch, who we sung the praises of earlier. They are at Montour, who we have not sung the praises of because they're 0-5. Again, like John said, this is one of the 2 big games on Knoch's schedule as far as trying to get into the playoffs. John, what do you think? Do you think Knoch's going to start that road to the playoffs with this game?
I do indeed. Montour has not scored in 3 games. They've been blanked the last 3 games.
That's not a recipe for success.
No, by Laurel Highlands, Aliquip, and Blackhawk, they've all shut them out. They're not going to shut out Knoch, I'll guarantee you that. Knoch wins this game, and I think they win this game impressively. I'm going 28-7, Knoch over Montour.
Derek, how do you see this one playing out?
It's a big game for Knoch, but I don't think they're going to have any trouble getting the win. I mean, this Montour team scored 17 points all season. Last year they were pretty decent. I guess they graduated a lot of talent, but I think Knoch wins this easily, 30-6, and the touchdown that Montour does score comes in garbage time.
Knoch is rolling right now. They were coming off a 56-0 win, as we mentioned earlier. I think their offense is just now getting traction, and they're going to keep rolling. I think Knoch wins. I'm going to predict another shutout for Knoch, 42-0. Back-to-back shutouts for Knoch.
4 straight shutout losses for Montour.
Yeah, Montour. Sorry, Montour. I don't know what to say. All right. Now we get to the confounding North Catholic football team, who just 2 weeks ago we were talking about running the table and winning the Whippeal and doing great things, and whether they're going to score 375 points or not. And they got shut out last week. They host Mount Pleasant, who themselves are off to a pretty bad start. Derek, North Catholic, do you think they bounce back?
I think they bounce back, but I don't have the confidence in North Catholic that I did picking them last week against Derry. Obviously, you go down to Derry, a matchup of 2 4-0 teams, and you come back home without even scoring a point. But they're playing a Mount Pleasant team that just lost by 28 last week to a pretty shaky Deer Lakes team. I hope North Catholic takes it easy on Mount Pleasant because that's my dad's alma mater. I don't want him to get his feelings hurt. I got North Catholic winning this game 41-7, but man, that's still a head scratcher for me, that North Catholic performance last week. But they get back on track this week.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with North Catholic. I don't know if they have a key injury or teams are catching up to whatever they're doing. Well, John, what do you think? What's going on with North Catholic? Do you think?
I wish I knew.
Do you think Mount Pleasant is running?
I wish I could explain that. Other than maybe people are grossly underrating Derry. That's the only thing I can think of, because then maybe Derry's much. I mean, everyone figured they're going to be a playoff team. Maybe they're much better than people are giving
It
them credit
doesn't
for.
explain the struggles against.
No,
Central
you're
Valley,
right. No, it does. No, it does not. But I gotta believe North Catholic. They're not going to struggle offensively 3 straight weeks. As you mentioned, they're playing a Mount Pleasant team. They've been struggling. I got to go North Catholic. Their offense comes back. I'm going to say 42-14 North Catholic.
2 weeks ago, again, I thought I knew everything there was to know about North Catholic, that they were a juggernaut, that no one was going to slow them down. Now I'm not so sure. I still think they're going to beat Mount Pleasant, but I think, again, they're going to struggle for whatever reason. I think they're going to end up winning, but I can't buy into North Catholic yet. I think they win 21-7.
Well,
only 21 points on.
Well, Derek's most valuable players better play that way this week.
Oh, they will. They will.
All right.
I called them up. They know.
All right.
All right.
Derek's on the scene. All right. Now we have another team that we've talked about quite a bit. Freeport, coming off of a big win. Austin Romanchuk with 5 touchdowns. They play Yough this week. Yough 3-2, 3-1 overall. They're off to a pretty good start. But do you think, John, that Freeport will have Yough's number this week?
Well, look at it this way. Mount Pleasant's only win is they beat Yough. That's their only win. So I'm not knocking Yough, but they played a soft schedule so far. And here's who Yough closes with, starting with Freeport. After Freeport, they get Aliquippa, Derry, North Catholic, and Elizabeth Forward. So all I can say to Yough and Cougars are good luck with that. Their downfall starts this week. Freeport beats them and beats them good. I'm going to say Freeport wins this game 38-10.
Yeah, I agree. Freeport's going to take a lot of anger out on after their 0-3 start on some of these teams. It's going to start with Yough. I think Freeport rolls. I'm going to say 42-14. Derek, what do you say? Freeport's going to do against poor Yough, who we have absolutely no respect for right now.
Poor Yough, they are 3-2. Got to give them that. They're 3-2 overall.
Yeah, but you're saying they're only got another 3 wins.
This is the last week that they could say they have a losing record. I'm sorry, a winning record, 3-2. Freeport 34-17. I don't think it's much of a game.
All right, now we go to St. Mary's 0-5 at Karn City 1-4. When was the last time we said Karn City 1-4 in the same
It's
sentence?
been a while. It's been a while for sure.
Derek, you gotta believe Karn City is gonna find a way to get a win this week, right? We've been saying that every week, but this week has got to be the week they win, right?
St. Mary's is 0-5. They've scored 7 or less points in 4 of their 5 games. This game's at Karn City. St. Mary's has to make the long road trip. I mean, this is a game that is ripe for Karn City to just go out there and dominate and finish. That's the key, finish. Don't give up, a lead late like they have several times this year. 36-8 Karn City. They throw the hammer down on the Dutch this week.
The Dutch, dude. What do you think about the Dutch chances this week against the mighty Gremlins?
Yeah, I'm in Derek's corner on this one. St. Mary's can't score. They've been shut out twice. Actually, their offense has been shut out 3 times. They've been shut out twice on the scoreboard. Another time they only got a 2-point safety one game. Yeah, Karn City, even though they're 1-4, they can score points. They've showed they can score points. St. Mary's can't score points. That's the difference. Karn City rolls. I agree with Derek in this one. 35-6.
Yeah, the best recipe for a struggling defense seems to be St. Mary's coming to town. Karn City has struggled a little bit. We talked about how they gave up 400 plus yards passing last week. This week they're going to get healthy. Karn City's going to get very healthy on both sides of the ball. This is going to be, I think this is just going to be an onslaught. Karn City's going to win 42-0, and only because they're going to call the dogs off. I just don't think St. Mary's is going to be able to move the ball at all against them. We got another one here, another District 9 game. Port Allegheny at Union AC Valley. Port Allegheny is winless. Union AC Valley has one win. Derek, how do you see this one playing out?
Union AC gets their second win of the season. Port Allegheny is bad. I got a stat here. They are winless, obviously 0-5, but they've been outscored 161-0 in the last 3 games.
So that's not good.
That's not good. Unless you're Union AC Valley. I think Union AC wins this game 33-12, and they pick up their second win of the year.
Yeah, Union AC Valley. The one thing they've been able to do this year is score some points. They have some weapons on offense, and that's not a good recipe for Port Allegheny. I think Union Yancey Valley wins 35-13. John, what do you think?
Yeah, against Countersport last week is some other bad numbers for Port Allegheny. They give up 519 yards in Countersport. They only manage 56. It's Union Yancey Valley. They're looking at chops waiting for this game. They win big. I'm going to say they win 35-6.
Okay.
I think they're going to crush it.
In our last Friday game, before we have two games on Saturday, including Mars, which we'll get to in a minute, we have Slippery Rock at Titusville.
Let me back you up. You skipped over at Montour, Brookville.
Oh, I did skip over Montour, Brookville. Okay. Well, we'll go back to that. Let's talk about Slippery Rock first. Slippery Rock 3-2 at Titusville 2-3. Slippery Rock coming off of two straight losses, but two straight losses to two very good teams.
Yeah,
Titusville is Titusville. They always struggle, but they're 2-3 this year. What do you think about the Rockets, Derek?
The Rockets up north, I guess the Titusville Rockets I'm talking about. Sagertown and Cochranton, that's their 2 wins. Both of those teams are winless. They're both 0-5. I like Slippery Rock's Rockets to beat Titusville's Rockets 35-0. And I don't often pick a shutout.
Do you have the Rockets in this game?
I do have the Rockets in this game, but I agree with Derek. I have the Slippery Rock Rockets. Titusville does have a running back, Parker Harvey. He's run for 472 yards and 5 touchdowns. Pretty good player, but they've also given up 55 and 68 points in 2 of their losses. That does not bode well playing a team as physical as Slippery Rock, and Slippery Rock's defense will limit kind of a one-dimensional Titusville offense. So I like Slippery Rock to win this game. I don't think they'll shut them out. I do think they'll win easily. I'm going to say 42-7.
Yeah, Slippery Rock's biggest enemy has been themselves in these last 2 games. Turnovers, mistakes, miscues. Grove City, they had 6 turnovers. They played pretty well against Grove City other than those 6 turnovers. They moved the ball pretty consistently against a pretty good Eagles team. So Slippery Rock always seems to have Titusville's number. The Rockets win. The Slippery Rock Rockets win. I'm going to say 49-14. Let's go back to Moniteau.
All right.
I skipped over them. Sorry, Moniteau. Didn't mean to do that. Especially since they have Chance Nagy as my midseason MVP. They take on Brookville, who, of course, Brookville has that quarterback factory. They're basically quarterback high. What do you think Moniteau can do to slow down Brookville's passing game?
I'll tell you what, I think this is a tough game for Montour. I mean, Brookville, like I said, Brookville can do one thing. If they can do anything, they can throw the football and they can score points. They score a lot of points. Robert Keth, as I mentioned last week against Queen City, 446 yards of passing, 3 touchdowns. All due respect to Montour's defense, this is going to be a tough one for them to score with Brookville. When Montour does win, they like to win lower scoring games. I like Brookville to win this game at home, but it's going to be a pretty good ball game. I'm going to say 28-21 Brookville.
I disagree with John, but I'm going to go to you first. What do you think Montauk's going to do to try to topple Brookville this week?
John just gave you the stat about Robert Keth. I got another one for you. Brian Dworick, who just came back from injury recently. Wide receiver. School record last week in one game, 17 catches, 240 yards. I don't think
it's a season for most guys.
Moniteau I don't think they have the answer for that kind of ability to put up those kind of yards, those kind of points. Brookville 31-19.
I think Moniteau does have the answer for Brookville. Moniteau's defense, do not underestimate them. No one has driven the field against them. No one. 5 games in the season, no one has consistently gone the length of the field against this defense. I think they're going to do that again. I think they have a pass rush that can make quarterbacks a little uncomfortable in the pocket, and no matter what their name is and what stats they put up last week. I think they have the defensive backs to cover Brookville's potent offense.
You know what? They're Brookville. They don't drive the ball. They score on big.
Montour has given up some big plays, but I think they've solved that problem. I think Montour pulls off an upset. I think they pull off an upset. I think they win 28-24.
Okay.
All right, now let's get to the 2 Saturday games. Mars plays at Shaler in a homecoming game for Shaler. Mars bounced back last week with a big win. Derek, do you think they make it 2 in a row?
I think they do. First of all, I want to mention about Shaler. And John, you know this from the years they played Butler. You used to work with the Shaler coach on interviews. Shaler was down for about 5 or 6 years.
Oh, yeah,
where
big time.
They're about as down as you can get.
Yeah.
Just the fact that Shaler, they have won 2 games this year. Obviously, they're taking a step in the right direction, but their 2 wins. They beat Hampton by 1 point, and they beat Newcastle team, which we now know is struggling this year too. So Mars going down there. I know it's homecoming for Shaler, all the pageantry that's involved with that, but Tyler Kolakowski got on track last week. I think he stays on track this week. And Garrett Ranky running the football, plus that tough Mars defense. I like Mars to win this game 31-16.
The question is, which Tyler Kolakowski is going to show up? The one that went 7 for 7 2 weeks ago, the one that had a good game last week, or the one that struggled in their loss a couple weeks ago? John, which one do you think shows up?
I think the good Tyler Kolakowski shows up, but I do think this is going to be a closer game than people think for a couple of reasons. Number one, Shaler's homecoming game is a different animal. It's a 12:30 kickoff on a Saturday afternoon. High school teams aren't used to playing them.
Good point.
Throws them off a little bit. And Shaler always plays better on their homecoming. They always have a big parade through town before that game. It's always, the atmosphere is always a lot more special than your typical Friday night game. So Shaler's going to be fired up. Plus, Mars has North Hills at home next week. So this can almost scream trap game for Mars, almost. But they're better than Shaler, and they'll win the game. But I think it's going to be close. I like Mars 28-20. I'm going to go 20-21 again. I think it's going to be a close game.
I agree with you, John. I think you're going to struggle a little bit early because of the pageantry of the homecoming, because it's an afternoon game, because it's out of their wheelhouse, so to speak. A typical week of football in high school, usually it's a Friday night. You have a routine. The routine's going to be different. But again, Mars, like you said, it's too good. I think they're too much for Shaler. Gary Ranky's going to be too much for Shaler. The good Kolakowski's going to show up with some big passes. I think Mars wins. I think they pour it on a little bit late and they win going away 35-14. All right, we're down to our last game of the week.
Summit scored last week.
Avonworth versus Summit Academy, who is no longer without points this year. They're still winless, but they have points on the scoreboard. Again, this doesn't look like a very good matchup for Summit Academy. Not many games are going to be good matchups for Summit Academy. I'm pretty sure I know where you're going with this one, Derek. Who you have? As if everyone doesn't know who you have.
I think Summit keeps that streak of scoring points alive, but Avonworth wins the game 40-12.
I think Summit scores again, but I think they get another 8 points on the board. Unfortunately, Avonworth's going to put a 40-burger up on them. It's going to be 42-8. John, there you go.
Yeah, Avonworth's never scored less than 31 points in any game this year. Summit's not going to stop them. But yeah, I agree with you guys. They're going to score in the 40s. I'm going to go Avonworth 45-6.
Yeah, sorry, Summit. I feel bad for you.
We do have the scoring now.
We do have you scoring again. All right, and now we go to our segment where we talk about big things going on in other sports in the county. This week we're going to look at Butler and Seneca Valley soccer. They played to a 1-0 Seneca Valley win last week. They seem to be two of the better teams in that section. Derek, how do you see this playing out maybe the next time they play, and the playoff? How do you see the playoff shaking out in that section with those two teams?
Jackson Wotus scoring the only goal in that game, by the way, in Seneca Valley's win over Butler. You know, it's got to be a security blanket. Anytime a high school soccer team has a solid goalie returning from the previous year, and that's what Seneca Valley has this year in Will Gallagher. Last year as a junior, he played really solid, helped them get to the playoffs, and so far this year he's given up less than a goal per game. And this Seneca Valley team is on a really impressive streak. They've made the Whitfill playoffs 10 straight times, and it's about to be 11. They're like, I think, a win away from clinching their 11th straight win. Right now, their 11th straight playoff appearance. They are leading that section with a 7-1 record. Right now, they're tops in the section. So kudos to George Williams. He just has a solid program down there. You know, every year they seem to find a way to win. But I will say this: when the teams meet again in about 2 weeks, Butler has a player named Tate Money. You know, Tate Money wants to get revenge. Tate loves the game of soccer. He loves scoring goals, and I wouldn't be surprised if Butler finds a way to beat Seneca in the rematch.
Yeah, we talked about this. Seneca may have the better team, but Butler has a better player. I think Tate Money is the best player of all the
18
two teams' rosters.
Yeah, 18 goals and 18 assists last year.
But is that enough? Is that enough for Butler to come back and maybe beat Seneca and make that section race a little interesting?
Yeah, I think the first game was 1-0. I wouldn't be at all surprised if the second game was 1-0 also, and could go either way because both of these teams, as do most high-quality soccer teams, and you guys know Butler County on the boys and girls side is loaded with high-quality soccer teams. They hold down the opposition. They know how to take a warning, and they may be able to do that again. But some will score a goal at some point. Wouldn't it all shock me if it's another 1-0 game? Either way, it's just how it is in Butler County soccer. Just a lot of high-caliber play out there.
All right. All right, well, that concludes this week's edition of Upon Further Review. We will be back next week. I think Barrick's going to be in the big chair next week, coming up with his over-unders and running the show. So until then, thanks for watching, and have fun on Friday Night Football.